Thank you for joining us on Herding Little Cows. If you have comments, please leave them down below. We will try to answer them.
Please make them nice.
If you enjoyed our video, please like and follow or whatever else you do on whatever platform this is on. I don't know, Mark does all that stuff. But also, we understand that our ideas aren't necessarily for everybody, and
you can dislike it if you want.
You can dislike it if you want. So, hey guys, welcome to Herding Little Cows. No, you can't sit on that. Welcome to Herding Little Cows to the glory of God.
Because it's reality TV.
Yeah, reality TV. It is 7:45 here at our house, meaning most of the little kids are in bed, except for the 2-year-old. He tends to go to bed a little bit later because he takes a nap during the day. And the 14-year-old, I forgot, he just had a birthday, is sitting over there. Hey, we just got a YouTube comment of hearts for something else. Okay. And the 14-year-old sitting over there playing a word game. And the 16-year-old, almost 17-year-old, a little more than a month, she is going to be part of our conversation tonight. But you're going to hear real life because the 2-year-old's awake. No, it's not your turn to play. You don't know how to spell anything. You can't play the word game.
Push the ones he tells you to.
He's gonna be over there yelling words to his brother. Okay, so the real reason we're doing this video, we have a couple of video ideas.
Is this a serious video?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the reason we're doing this video is because we have talked to a few people, one person I'm thinking of in particular, in the last week, but talking about childbearing and being a mom and what does that mean and the Christian worldview on it and all of those things. So we're just going to we're going to have an open conversation.
Open.
And we might not cover everything that I have thinking in my head, but just kind of thinking.
No, feel free to drag me back from the pit of wherever I fall myself into.
Okay.
Because I know me.
So anyway, part of the conversation... Okay. He's winning. He's winning the game. He wins everything right now. We do sword drills during our Bible time, and he wins, even though he doesn't know where he is in the Bible.
I win. Hey, give me a look. I'm
Tell
talking
me
on the
what you
camera.
I may win.
You win. Look at him. Isn't he awesome? He's incredible.
Are you going to go back to Samuel? He's going to go win again, probably yell about it. Okay, so anyway, the conversation started because this person asked Naomi what she answers when people ask her what does she want to do when she grows up. Because the person we were talking to has...
She wants to play word games with 2-year-olds.
Has teenage daughters, and they're getting asked the same question. And it seems that in our culture, if your answer is be a wife and mother, that's not good enough. If your answer is become president of the United States, if your answer is to write a book, if your answer is to pretty much do anything besides a wife and mother, that's great. But if you say wife and mother, it's like, but what else do you want to do? Like, what do you really want to do with your life? So, what's your take on, or thoughts on that when people ask you that question? What do you want to say to them that you don't actually say to them when they ask you that question? I'm going to say to them now. You're going to say to them now, but when they ask you the question, you're like, I really want to say, but I'm going to say this instead.
Well, you want to have a good answer for a category of questions, but you don't want to be like, make a person feel like you're upset with them.
Right. I also think it's different depending who it's coming from, because if you're talking to a non-Christian, you should be able to, like, you shouldn't have to speak the same way to a Christian with a biblical worldview than you have to speak to a non-Christian.
Because a lot Christians and non-Christians don't have the same values, so
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
But a lot of times we find that the Christians are the ones asking the question that still don't like the answer of wife and mother. So go ahead. I'm going to let you talk.
Carry on.
Yeah, so I feel like Christians don't see the value of motherhood or being a wife. And it's sad to see that in our culture, but they think that you need to have a income or a purpose in life that doesn't have to do with the home. It's always outside the home.
So what do you want to say to them when they ask you that question? And they're like, Naomi, you're getting older. You're going to graduate soon. Naomi's graduating this spring. She's been working hard on her work. Climb up on the bed with him then, silly. So she's going to be graduating in the spring, and we're getting close to that point that people are like, so what are you going to do from now on? And especially, like, what are you planning to do? Like, once you turn 17, 18, whatever that magic number is, are you, like, moving out of the house? What are you doing? What are you doing, ma'am? This is all about Naomi now.
Yeah, so my answer to people would normally be that if it's the Lord's will, I want to be a wife and mother. But then when they say, but what else do you want to do? That is my calling. Like, if that's the Lord's will, then that is my calling, and I don't need something else to be fulfilled.
So that means you do nothing else with your time other than learn how to be a wife and mother. That's the only thing you do. No, you have hobbies and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, so what are your hobbies that you like to do, but you're not planning to pursue to get income and blah, 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 that all these people want to know about?
Guitar, piano, learning languages. I have some other instruments I'm trying to work on.
She likes to cook. I know that's in the home, but she
Loves
like
to cook.
made
Oh,
cookies
yeah.
for people tomorrow.
Yes, I like
She's
to cook.
helping me be fat. I don't need
Is
help.
that your goal in life?
Wow,
I don't need
great
help. She's really
calling.
good at it. No, you make food that I enjoy eating. It's very good. She's
I
the
guess
queen
it's
of
not a
seasoning.
hobby, but I also like to do like ministry, witnessing to unbelievers.
Hello. And we
All
told
sorts,
you it's
yeah.
real life. We have another kid in here. What do you need? Oh, he wants to show us a picture.
Josiah made us a picture. Made
The
something
light
a
in
picture.
here is really weird.
It really is. It's strange.
Can I show them? Okay, he's been working busy
I'm gonna turn a
On a
little more
police
this
car?
way and see if the light straightens out.
because we're going to see some police officers tomorrow. So they made cookies for the police officers and they're making pictures. Very cool. I like it. You gonna work some more on it? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I can lean in a little if the light's any better.
Okay, we can also move it away a little
It's
bit,
not.
whatever. The light just looks bad. But anyway,
Terrible.
it's okay.
Eh.
So anyway, so yeah, she has a lot of hobbies. She has a lot of things that she wants to pursue and continue getting better at, but not necessarily things you're going to get a career
Yeah.
doing.
My goal, I think, for now and for the rest of my life would be to serve and minister in my family, in the church, and to the outside world when possible. Like,
So like you do right now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
So you just want to keep doing that
Yeah.
in the future. Okay. So that was the first part of our question the other day, which I think you just answered really well, is as Christians, with
This is gonna be one of those videos. We might have to shut this one off. Alright, we're gonna shut the video off. We'll be back. There was a phone call and we moved. And the lighting's a little weird. And Naomi's kicking the floor, so it's bouncing.
lighting is still weird. We tried to fix it. I'm off the phone. And it was Grandma that you heard Gideon scream in the background. Grandma! He just, my phone doesn't ring very often. So he thinks,
glasses too.
And I switched glasses. I can see much better now.
okay. So anyway, she answered the question well. I don't know exactly where that ended. She answered the question well about what you're going to do in the future. The next part of the question was about being a mom, feeling overwhelmed. Do we take control of our fertility in either way of trying to have more children or to not have children? Not doing something not like an abortion, killing a child. Not that, but at any point, do you do something that would prevent you from having children? Natural. Yes. So
So the question being like, is it our goal in life to have as many children as humanly possible?
yes.
Or as few as humanly possible, or a select number?
Or is there
something
like a
in
certain number? Because
Okay.
God's quiver, God saying that a man's quiver is full.
Yeah, I gotta
So
think
is
back.
there
I could
is
put
there a
lot of
number
arrows
there
in
that I mean I don't think that warrior is like, I'm gonna take 6 arrows into battle and that's all. That's
fewest
all I'm
number.
gonna
No
need.
more.
So I think I want to preface this answer with we do not agree with abortion at all.
Ever, period.
And there are a lot of forms of birth control that are actually abortive fashioned.
Yes.
And I did not know that. When we first got married, I was on the pill, which they say is going to keep you from releasing an egg, which is the first form of prevention. But
Doesn't always
if
work.
you release an egg, you want the puzzle. You want the puzzle.
We're fixing things for the 2-year-old.
Okay. He got a little mad because then Mommy was on the phone. I'm getting it. So we didn't know that if you did release an egg, that it actually would cause your uterus.
Gideon's trying not to trip over the tripod.
It would actually cause your uterus to be uninhabitable for a baby to implant. So the baby couldn't implant, and then even if the baby did implant, they wouldn't get food after implantation.
So basically, you'd create a baby and then they would starve to death.
Right. So if it didn't...
Due to chemical interference.
Right. So if it didn't work the right way, it's okay. We just have...
Samuel can help you.
Samuel, can you help your brother? So we don't agree with the pill. There's a bunch of them. I can't name all of them, but a bunch of them that are abortifacient in certain ways. And so we want to make sure that we are telling you that we do not agree that it's ever okay to kill a baby that has been conceived.
Correct.
And I don't think the average Christian thinks it's okay to kill a baby that's been conceived. I don't think most know what birth control pills do, or different forms of birth control do, because they haven't researched enough. If you talk to the doctor, they're not going to say. You can go sit with him for a few minutes and help him figure out what he wants to do. Oh, you want bubbles? Diane turned on the wrong game. Okay.
I didn't even turn it on.
You did. So anyway, I thought you said puzzle. So we want to make sure we say that to begin with. We, as a couple, I don't know what you believe in. You don't need to tell us. But we as a couple do not believe that there is a time for most couples to decide we should not have more children.
I don't think things like, I don't think we can afford another baby is a legitimate reason for most people. There's other things that people might say, but I think most of the time,
most of the reasons
we can, again, God is the one in charge of this. Nobody gets pregnant unless God makes them that way. He made the human body in a certain way. He made men and women in a certain way. He's designed the system. I think he knows how to control it.
And even someone who's like an unplanned pregnancy, that, they would say this makes sense for an abortion and everything, God planned that baby too. So that none of those babies are getting away from God's sovereignty.
No way.
I think that most of the excuses people give of not wanting more children are worldly thoughts. Not that the Christian is specifically trying to think worldly thoughts, but if you don't have a biblical Christian worldview, you're going to fall into the temptations of the world. That children are too expensive, children take up too much time.
Yes, they do, and that's a good thing.
I'm not going to be able to give the children the attention they need, or be able to take them to do the things that we want to do, and all of those things. Those are all very worldly thoughts that don't come from the Bible. So, but
questions would be like, God said he'll supply all of our needs according to his riches and glory, and he says children are a blessing. So is God going to put us in a circumstance? I'm not saying children don't go without food. Like, I don't think God's going to put us in a circumstance as Christian families where he gives us children that we then cannot literally afford to feed or shelter. I think God is sovereign over that as well, the means.
Right. And there are programs out there, and like if you're in a
churches, families,
place where that is a difficulty for you right now, like you really are having trouble affording feeding your children, go to your church, go to your elders, tell them your need. Like, I feel like God has put things in place to provide for those.
Well, first of all, is the family. Like, that's an obligation in Scripture. If a man won't feed his own family, then he's worse than and then the church, like you said. And then there are other things beyond that, but we need to take care of each other too. That's part of it, is loving one another.
So yeah, that was part of it. Was we as a couple believe that most of the excuses people give of not having more children is because of thoughts that aren't biblical thoughts on children.
Right. Yeah, we're not judging anybody specifically. Like, we're just saying that I think we all need to consider, how do we make decisions?
Yes.
Do we say, I can't really afford to do this thing? Sometimes you'd find a way to afford it if you really wanted to. Like, if it's something that you really look forward to, a special place you want to go, or something that you really thought would help someone with a health concern, all those kind of things. We find ways to find money.
And this conversation that we had with this person was asking our opinions on these things.
Right.
I don't think they're gonna, like, I just want you to know, I'm not saying this in like, so here's what I wanted to tell the person that day when I told the person all of this, and we were having an open discussion.
Right.
So But the other thing I think people get in trouble with is the quiverful movement. We've been accused of being part of the quiverful movement. I don't know all of their beliefs, so I'm not trying to specifically bash that in here, but from what I've heard of the quiverful movement, and you can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, is we should be trying to have as many children as physically possible.
Okay.
So the idea that a woman should be trying to get their cycle back so that they can go have another child.
Like
And-
it's a competition or
Like
something.
it's competition. Like how
Okay.
many children can we have?
Yeah.
And we've never had that mindset. But I have talked to people who so the reason this came up was this person that I was talking to was asking about having children and the stresses of having children, and we can all admit there are stresses and hardships of having children, not sleeping through the night, not
As
being
we're
able
checking the video monitor to make sure, yeah, anyway.
not having the resources to just go do all the things. Like we have the money we need to provide for our family's needs, but we can't just be like, hey, let's go to Las Vegas tomorrow. It doesn't work.
Who wants
We-
to go to Las Vegas?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Disney World.
Well, again, who would want to
Anyway, just the idea of like, we don't have promised time alone because there's always somebody who might be having a seizure, or a baby who might be not sleeping through the night, or pregnancy that I just can't keep myself awake in
or
the
someone
evenings.
who's no longer conscious.
Or, huh?
We're disagreeing.
All kinds of things that could be happening. And you could look at that and say, I don't want to have more kids so we can get out of this stage so that we can eventually enjoy time just together, like being able to go out on a date or whatever.
Yeah, I'm 49 years old. My oldest child is 28, and my youngest child is still in the womb. So I'm going to be nearly 70 before Elisha is born and raised in an adult kind of age. Like, I'm not saying I'm throwing my kids out of the house at any age specifically either.
But Nate
But yeah,
could move
I'll be 70. And
We might still have kids here. Hopefully by that
be awesome.
at that
And
point
grandkids.
we could maybe like go out, and grab a burger without having to watch the 20-year-old, but
that'd be awesome. Although, with the 11-year-old we have, like, that's less than
So-
likely also.
we have if you're new here, we have an 11-year-old who has cerebral palsy and epilepsy, and so we don't know what the future looks like with him. Are you going to do this, or am I holding it? Looks like with him on how long he'll be home.
He'll
And
probably
what
live
we'll
with
do.
us most of
Yeah.
yeah.
Unless things change, but that's
Yeah.
how it is right now. So
So we're not
this
looking to get rid of
person-
them.
No, we're not looking to get rid of them. So this person was asking, is there ever a time that you feel like you wouldn't want more children?
wouldn't welcome
You're
more
not, I wouldn't be happy if we got pregnant, but I'm also okay with not being pregnant,
Yeah,
I guess is the
just
thing.
kind of we're okay with where we are.
And I think that God can give you that sense of peace if he's not providing more children, because God knows what the future is.
Absolutely.
And I think that God can, like talking about praying and the desires of your heart. I can't remember what the verse says right now. I'm sorry, pregnancy brain is hard.
It's also late.
But God giving you the desires of your heart, and I feel like there may be a time that God allows you to feel more content. Not that I'm not content with where God has us right now, but just the idea of like
Do you want
maybe feeling like this is the last one and I'm okay, and not that baby fever all the
I
time.
think
if that makes
we
sense.
don't have an expectation. We weren't certain. I mean, Sarah's 41.
I'm so old.
Not that that's old, but by many people's standards, you'd think she was old.
Ask the midwife.
They think
I'm
you'd
old.
think she was 85 or something. Like, oh, you're how old? You know?
Okay.
Oh, grumble.
Here,
We might need a grumble to sit with us.
come here. You gonna look at the
Come on,
camera?
come on. Hey, you want to make faces at the camera there, dude?
Hi. So anyway, the idea that I think that God can supernaturally give you that, like, contentment. Yeah, I know. Okay, we're back. And if you're very, what's it called, like discerning, you'll see that Mark put on a different pair of glasses. Observant, there we go. Every time we turn off the camera, Mark puts different glasses on. He has that many.
They're different strengths, and I'm trying to find the one that works for looking at her and actually paying attention, and making sure the camera's working, and looking at him, and looking at her.
And they're all Dollar Tree glasses.
And they're Dollar Tree glasses, so.
So he has a couple pairs because he keeps losing them. Okay, so.
And breaking them.
Where I was going with that was, I think that God can give you a feeling that you are set with what you have. Because I think that a lot of women get like really bad baby fever, you know, at a certain time after kids are born. I think God can take that away if you're not going to have more. And God knows that number. Not if you choose to not have more, but I think God can take it away if it's his will. Because I think a lot of people think that once you have children, especially if your children at first are close in age, people take for granted that they're going to have children that close in age for all time and eternity. And that's not true. We know some friends that had kids very close in age and had 4, I think, and then haven't had any more. And that was just what God planned for them. So
other families have like boom, 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 like a year apart, and then it's like 5 years.
Yeah.
But like, and sometimes they don't have any more. Like,
but then sometimes they have more.
Then they do.
Close
And,
together.
you know, there's like the second wave, you know, kind of thing.
But I think that some people just get scared by that. We've had multiple babies close together, and so I'm not going to be able to take care of this. And God's timing is always perfect. Like, I've had times where we have gotten pregnant that not that I'm not excited about the baby, but like timing wise, it's like, oh, you know, we have to go through this now, pregnant, you know, whatever the situation is. And then it actually isn't a problem. God works everything out. So there's always that. What? You want to snuggle. Okay. And then the other thing we were talking about is, and people might not watch our channel anymore for this, and that's okay. I think that the Christian church, are you okay? He's burping on me. I think the Christian church has done a lot to cause mothers to feel inadequate in what we're doing because we're having a hard time emotionally keeping up with children very close in age. But I think that a lot of the practices that people push, even within Christian churches, of trying to get baby to sleep through the night quickly, get baby to take bottles so mom can have a break from breastfeeding, getting baby to sleep in a different room, those types of things, and I'll go into this in a minute. But I think those ideas make it so that we end up having babies quicker because our bodies are made to have a rest after our babies. And I'm not saying a forced rest by doing birth control, but I'm just saying the way that God has made a woman's body, there's naturally breaks. If you look at the Old Testament, and I'm not saying we necessarily...
There are exceptions, we understand that. Like some people have genuine, their body does something different or whatever.
Right. But for most people, this is how it works. In the Old Testament, and I know we don't have to live by every law in the Old Testament, but in the Old Testament, it talks about a woman being ceremonially unclean for a certain amount of days with a boy and a certain amount of days with a girl. And if you're unclean and therefore not having relations with your husband, you're not going to get pregnant in that first time period.
That is true.
There are some people, like Irish twins, are usually conceived very close to each other. I know there's the exception
Day
of
41, evidently.
I know there are exceptions to that where, you know, the second baby comes prematurely or whatever. But I think that the idea of having a rest for a woman's body is part of why God put that in there.
And that's something to husbands. You know, like I'm the only husband on the film, obviously. But
Is Andy married yet?
men have desires that are rightful desires for their wives, but their wives have also been through major Like, delivering a baby is kind of a big thing, guys. So remind yourself that your wife has been through a lot, and you need to respect her and love her enough to not be pushing your desires on her, I guess I would say.
I saw something
Prematurely.
I saw something today, and it was a labor and delivery nurse, and she was talking about hearing husbands, you know, shortly after the wife has the baby, husbands saying, "Oh, this chair over here, it's so uncomfortable. Could we just switch so I can sleep in the hospital bed for a little bit?" She was talking about, your wife just did all the work of pushing a whole baby out. She probably hasn't slept for the last 48 hours, and you're worried about getting sleep.
Well, I think there's a lot of talk in yes, it seems like quiverful kind of Christian circles, large family circles anyway. Yeah, I'll just leave that alone. Never mind. I'm just going to skip that thought. I'm not going to say that loud.
So anyway,
Maybe later.
the idea of the ceremonial cleanness or uncleanness, I think there is health wisdom in there of keeping babies a little further apart. I also think that our culture has a big push to breastfeed your babies while it's convenient for you. And I think I know women who are friends of mine, so this is not against any particular women or anything like that. I know women who cannot produce breast milk or don't produce enough or anything like that. So I'm not saying those.
But that's not the majority.
That's not the
of people
majority.
I'm talking about here.
But the idea that our bodies are meant to continue nourishing our babies after they are born. We do 9 months of carrying a baby. I'm 6 months in right now. We do all of this time of nourishing the baby, and our bodies are meant to continue doing that after we deliver. In the Bible, you see people, like you see moms nursing. You don't, I know there was the concept of wet nurses back then and all of that, but
That wasn't the norm.
Right, it wasn't the norm. What's talked about in the Bible is mothers breastfeeding their babies. And so I think the push that we have as a society, that if it's not convenient, we should find other ways to do it. And I understand that there's times I have had some pumped milk in the fridge in the freezer for all of our babies in case I need to take another child to the hospital or something. I understand there's times like that. But the idea of regularly putting your child to have formula, or even for pumped milk to always be given by another person. Mom is going to overextend herself and not allow her body to recover from pregnancy and childbirth in the same way if she's not taking those rests when baby needs to nurse. And I can tell you from experience that when 15 years ago, we lost a baby at full term. And so I didn't have a baby to nurse. And I overexerted myself because there wasn't a baby there asking to eat every 2 hours or whatever the baby needs. And I was doing too much because I wasn't taking those breaks. God has naturally given us breaks for our body by having mothers be the one to feed. So even if you have to go to the formula feeding or you're pumping to give in a bottle, the more times that you can sit down and feed your baby, the better it is for your body to be able to recover from childbirth, I guess is what I'm saying. I'm saying there's not ever a time that dad can't feed the baby, but I see a lot of moms who give a bottle who are passing the baby off all the time. And
Or propping it up in the car seat or something.
yeah. So that time of feeding.
Just children need, I know I'm the old fart here, like, I'm the man, who cares what I have to say, but, like, babies want to be held, specifically by their mothers. Like, there's a lot God made in there, but their fathers too, also.
Babies
Like, and their siblings, obviously.
Or their sisters.
Like, and their sisters, like, obviously, this is not an expectation, it's a love between siblings, but he's very secure
somebody's
knowing who mommy is, and that mommy is, always nearby. Oftentimes men, we may put expectations on our wives about housework or chores or things that are being done, and some people, some of the ladies work and stuff like that should not be. Like, we should make sure as men that we are providing and protecting and doing whatever we can do to make sure that our wives are healthy and happy and doing well, just like the children. Like, oftentimes the men are the ones with the bad expectations, and sometimes the ladies do it themselves.
Also, babies when they're first born, I saw this on Instagram the other day or something, but it was talking about, of course, a newborn wants to snuggle with their mom because, you hold them near you.
Where have they been?
It's the
Same
heartbeat they've been hearing the whole time.
Same breathing.
Like, that's what they're comfortable with. That is their rhythm. And so, anyway, going along with the bottle feeding or breastfeeding and all of those things, skin to skin is very important. So this doesn't have to do with how many children you have, this one in particular, but it's something that I'm very passionate about. Babies have a special relationship with their mom because they've been in the womb for 9 months. And I'm not saying that somebody who adopts a baby can't bond with them. I'm not saying any of that. But the bond between a newborn baby and their mom, when mom can just hold them close and spend that first, they call it the 4th trimester after the baby's born, so that would be the first 3 months, just being really close to your baby, because your baby has been in the most secure place it could be in your womb. Like, if you haven't been, I know, like, the first time I was pregnant, I was so worried, like, any little bump on my belly, oh no, did I hurt baby? Like, it's very hard to hurt a baby in utero. Just daily things, like, if you are pregnant and you take a bad fall, yes, go get checked out by your doctor. I'm not saying that.
But many times it wouldn't.
Many times it doesn't hurt baby. God has put them in such a protective bubble that baby is so safe. And then we bring baby out into the world where they're hearing noises that are so much louder than they ever heard in the womb. They're seeing lights that yes, they can identify light in the womb, but it's not that bright. So the smells, they've only smelled one thing the whole time they've been in the womb. Just the sense of touch. They've been surrounded in water and bouncing off the walls of your uterus.
Does smell work underwater?
Well, taste, they do breathe
When they're
in
breathing
all that.
it in, yeah, sure, evidently. I think it would pass through, yeah.
They breathe in all that stuff.
Taste, smell, same thing.
And so, you want to come here?
You can be the mama.
You're actually coming.
He is getting tired.
He's become an ooze. But anyway, so I'm very passionate about, I think moms should spend a lot of time very, very close to their newborn babies. So that gets into the next hurdle, is many people push for babies very quickly to sleep far away from them. Possibly in their own rooms, possibly in a crib, like, in the room, but far away. Baby has never been that far away. Baby has never been without touch, like without physically touching you in the 9 months that they've been in the womb.
Right.
And so we're suddenly pulling them out of the womb and expecting them to be able to sleep sitting in a crib across the room from us, where they can't feel our heartbeat, they can't hear us breathing, they can't any of those.
They don't know if anybody's around. Like, if they don't see somebody or hear them, they wouldn't know that they were even there.
And I understand the idea of being afraid you're going to roll on your baby and all of those things. But co-sleeping has been the cultural norm until...
For about 6,000 years.
Yeah. Except for mothers. Like, you think about, like, the plantation women who had a nurse that came and slept in the baby's room, in the children's room, to make sure that everything was okay because mom didn't want them with them anymore. That type of thing. It was the rich people who could hire somebody in to take their children. Yeah. And it was done out of convenience for mom, not because it was best for the baby.
Or best for mom.
Or best for mom.
Best for mom. The healthiest you've ever been is this pregnancy. Like, you're the oldest, but motherhood has been very good to you.
Yeah, I definitely have found from having 10 babies, like I'm on number 10, that the need of rest and bonding with your baby in those first 6 weeks to 3 months is so important for mom's physical health, for mom's mental health, and for baby's physical health in so many ways. But I think even within our churches, we very much push for our children to go sleep in another room by themselves, for our children to...
I don't want to sleep in a room by myself. Like, I don't.
He wouldn't sleep if I wasn't here.
He doesn't sleep when you're not there.
That's true. Except the only times that I'm not here, I'm in the hospital. So we have to say that that is kind of an unfair assessment.
And I do eventually sleep. I just fall down and sleep.
It's an unfair assessment.
I
But
would
anyway.
rather sleep with someone. That's
Yes.
what we're talking about, yeah.
Yes. And so we very much push babies to be independent by sleeping. Like, I'm also the type of mom that from the very start, we do what's called contact naps. So baby just falls asleep on me and we just sit there while baby's sleeping. Or baby falls asleep and I hand him over to a sibling so they can continue sleeping on someone so I can go take a shower or whatever might be needed. But our babies really aren't set down at all for
Not
the
for a
first
few
couple months.
At least, yeah.
And then they're set
Or
down for
hand it to
tummy
anybody
time and then
else.
given to somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you can't ever let anybody else hold the baby, but like we really like holding our babies.
We do.
A lot. And it shows. Like, because all of our children still like us.
But we have, I have like 3 months left. I have like 3 months left before we have this baby, and I'm already like, I'm gonna have to share. Like
Yeah,
right
no,
now,
no,
no one
sure.
else can take the baby.
I keep saying she's hogging the baby. She's holding him all the time. She won't pass him off.
I will share a
So,
little bit. I'll have to go pee at some point. So anyway, but also we as a culture, even within the Christian church, expect moms to be independent. And that's kind of the thrust of what I wanted to talk about with Naomi and her idea of wanting to be a mother. There's the idea that when you become a mother, you lose whatever it is you want it to be. You like lose your identity or your personal goals or whatever you want to call that. Do you think from watching children being born in our house and all of, not being born in our house, we actually go to the hospital. I'm not against home birth, but we go to the hospital. But the idea of children being born, taking care of them, raising them, do you feel like I'm depriving myself?
Okay, now I've got to rate my own mother.
Rate me. Do you
Rate
feel
your
I'm
mom.
depriving myself or depriving you guys of something because I don't do things for myself? Does that make sense?
No. I don't think so.
Do you feel like motherhood looks like this pitiful existence because of how I've done it?
No.
That's why she still wants to be a wife and mom. I'm having like, I keep seeing that I
She's
have
trying
like
to
hair
hide her few gray hairs. She's got like 10
I've
of
got,
them.
I've got a couple gray hairs right here, and my hair's just like keeps shooting out the side.
To
Sorry.
show themselves.
I can just see it because I have a light blue wall behind me, and so
I can't see it.
I got them fixed right now. But
Oh, okay.
anyway, so what did you want to say about that? Because you looked like you want to say
I
something.
have no idea.
Okay, so I think that God has caused. She's trying to fix my head cover from the back. It feels like she's just tickling. Maybe she is just tickling me, but I think she's trying to help. But anyway, I think that we, as a church culture, are hurting mothers by making them think that they have to be independent and they have to feel okay by handing off their baby. Can you go follow that
I'm
little
gonna-
guy?
I'm gonna
Okay,
chase
Daddy's gonna go chase the 2-year-old. I'm not helping. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna hide myself for a minute. Okay. This head cover is like a little too big and it slides off, and I should have put another one on before we started this. But anyway, I think we do a disservice because we tell moms that they should be independent. They should be willing to jump right back into whatever they were doing within the church of like teaching Sunday school or what else might you be doing at church? Nursery. I don't know. I don't do all these things because I'm sitting with my kids in church. Being part of the women's groups and being told that sending your child off so that you can do these things for other people is what's important. But when God gives you children, they have become your number one ministry. And it's not that you're neglecting other ministries. It's that God's given you a ministry that's much more near and dear and close, and you shouldn't want to get away from that ministry. Like,
Yeah.
if you're really involved in jail ministry, that's great. Like, that's wonderful. If you're really involved in abortion ministry, that's wonderful. There's a lot of ministries that we know of that people are really, really involved in. But if God was suddenly like, you know what? I need you to give up that jail ministry because I need you to full-time care for your parent. Or I need you to give up that ministry because this ministry has come that's now priority. You would say, yes, God, let me do that. But for some reason, when it comes to motherhood, we say, oh, wait, no, let me get back to my other ministry. Like, why are you keeping me home? I have ministry to do. But he's actually given you a more involved and a ministry that you can actually be more successful at. I know that all of it is up to God, but you actually have more time to pour into the people within your home. Like, if you're doing jail ministry, you can probably only get there once, maybe twice a week, whatever the jail's letting you in. You only have so much time to spend with those people.
But you don't have 12 hours a day to talk to them.
Right.
You know.
Like, my kids, you coming back up? My kids are here all the time. They're always, everything I say, they're listening to. They should be listening to. Maybe you're not. But also the things I do. Like, they're watching from my example all the time, what I'm doing. So it's a more intense ministry. Because when you're just doing ministry at church, you can... Hi.
Gideon gets really cute at this time of night.
Josiah wants to show us something, and so Gideon's at the door going... Okay, so you want me to show them the picture? He made a picture for the police department. It might be backwards for you guys. But that's the car he was working on. Good job. You worked hard on that. I love you. Oh,
Gideon?
my other little... So
Distraction.
one ministry's here. You need to go back to bed, little ministry. And my other ministry's trying to run away. I hear him.
Getting wada.
Yeah, you can sit on the floor. Okay. So I think that as a culture, even as a church culture, we have pushed moms into wanting, needing, whatever, time away from their children, or wanting their children to be so independent that we can go on to do our other stuff. And I think because we push all of these things of not breastfeeding exclusively, because also the breastfeeding thing, the reason that your body like gets a break from having children with the breastfeeding is if you're breastfeeding exclusively on demand when baby wants it, without the pacifiers, like all of those things. And I know it's a lot of work because I've done it with all of the kids. So I know it's a lot of work, but bottles are a lot of work too. I cannot imagine having to wash bottles all day. Or like pump parts. Like I can't imagine having to do that. I've never had to pump exclusively. I have pumped before, but I've never had to pump exclusively to feed my child or they're going to starve. I pump and get some extra milk for, like I said, a situation where we might be with another child in the hospital or something. And usually that milk, we throw it away after it's a couple years old. But I think that all of those things that push us to separate from our babies is actually what's causing our babies to be closer in age than God would actually. Do you understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Is it making sense to the people I'm talking to? Read their
So
minds.
it's making sense to them because we've had this conversation before, so I know what you're talking about.
So just the idea that if we really looked at the Bible and parented with the intentionality and the focus on our children that I think it speaks about in the Bible, we would be having children spaced out further. For the record, all of our children are 2 years or more apart. We had one that was just a couple weeks shy of 2 years with Naomi, but he was 3 weeks early. So he would have been just past your birthday had he not been 2 days before your birthday.
About 2 years.
But yeah, 2 years, 2.5 years. What?
Sorry, I accidentally kicked you.
She kicked me. I thought she was trying to get my attention for something. But no, she's just kicking me. So yeah, that idea of having children. And when I say all these things, I am not saying that someone doing anything outside of that list that I just said is sinful. I'm saying that I think our culture has been pushed enough by the world that we haven't even thought through those things. Kind of like the idea of oh, when my child's 5, I sign them up for kindergarten and I put them on the bus. Because that's what the Bible, not the Bible. Because that's what the world says. And I haven't looked to see, is that what the Bible says? Because, well, that's what everyone does, and that's what everyone is doing around me, so I'm just doing it. I think that the idea of, sleep training your babies is because the world is telling us you need to make sure you're getting enough rest for your body and those types of things. But I'll let you know that when you co-sleep, you're actually able to get more rest than if you're up feeding a baby. If I'm sleeping with the baby and I roll over and nurse them, I can go back to sleep much easier than if I had to get up, go to a different room, feed my baby, put them back to bed. All of those things, I get a lot more sleep. Or if you were
waking up every time you were like, oh, I should check on baby.
Yeah. Checking on baby means I open my eyes and go, yep, you're still sleeping. Close my eyes again. But it's just become the norm. And when you go to the hospital to have a baby, they don't like you sleeping with your baby. They don't like you breastfeeding on demand. They want to know, so when did your baby eat? And when I'm like, I didn't write it down because I just fed them last time they were hungry. They're like, what? And I'm like, it's okay. They're peeing enough. Because you can count the diapers too. It's okay. But it's become so ingrained in us that that's what we have to do. And I think there's a lot of things that go with birth and stuff like that, which is a whole different video. Go ahead. I want to say something.
I was just going to say also the church culture doesn't encourage motherhood, or will also encourage not bonding with baby and getting away from baby as fast as possible. So it can be hard even when the church isn't encouraging you in that.
Yes. And we are not, just so everyone knows, we are not specifically talking about the church we attend right now.
No, I'm just saying church culture in America.
Right.
American church.
I just was going to say, we have not had a baby since we've been in this church. So I don't even know what this church specifically thinks about babies. They ask me every week how I'm feeling and stuff. So, so I just want to say, not talking about our church.
We love you all. We're not talking about you.
But just the idea that we want to be a very independent people. And the Bible doesn't talk about being independent. The Bible talks about relationships and family and working together and I don't know, even when you read just about church order and everything, it's about the bonds of, treating your younger brother, younger men in Christ like brothers and the younger sisters in Christ like sisters, that type of thing. Just the idea of those family bonds. And I think that with what the world says about family bonds, we don't know how to interpret that by what the Bible's saying. Because families nowadays do not look like what I think the Bible's talking about, of treat them with brotherly affection. Because a lot of times you see brothers beating each other up. Right?
Yeah.
Or, you're 2 years younger than me. I don't want to talk to you because you're 2 grades below me. We don't have the same friend group. We don't ever do any activities together because it's all age segregated and we don't even know each other. I know the people I'm in class with better than I know my siblings. True?
Yep.
Or I want to get away from you because you're young and foolish and I'm going to go hang out with my friends who are still young and foolish. Right?
Yeah.
Just foolish in a different way.
If you could have a sneak peek in our house, it's much less foolishness when there's a whole bunch of children of all age groups hanging out together than when you have these people over here, the teenagers are being foolish and the young kids are being foolish. And
yeah.
They balance each other out.
Yeah. So I think that's one thing is this person I was talking to the other day, we have families, our family and their family separately, we live far away from each other, are very close as families, spend a lot of time together. I think those sisters would say they're really good friends. I think the family is friends with each other. I think these guys would say they're friends with each other. You're not always looking for an excuse to get away. Good job, you did it quiet. As quiet as you can.
Good job, sweetie.
You coming back?
Are you actually ready for bed this time?
And so the idea that there are people that would think this video is more important. And I will say we've turned this video off a couple different times, so I'm not saying that
this is the third try.
Yeah, I'm not saying we just let everything go. he started screaming before because he was very tired. I'm talking about the baby, not Mark. I'm like motioning to where you were sitting, so that's why we kicked him out of the video. So I think people who have a YouTube channel like this trying to explain biblical teaching, biblical womanhood, whatever you want to say, think of the distraction of the child coming in the room looking for food is what he's doing right now. The other child coming in the room wanting to show you guys the picture. But that's what is involved in my life right now. And that's why I picked this time to do the video, because there would have been many more interruptions had we done it during the day, because there would have been more people wanting to show you pictures and things like that. But I guess the idea of a mom doesn't lose anything by becoming a mom. She actually gains a lot, because she now has her own unique ministry that only her and her husband can pursue. I'm never told to hand over my children for someone else to disciple. I'm not saying that no one else teaches my children anything. Like, we go to church together and we all sit under the same teaching, and you hear whatever Pastor Phil is talking about. She listens to podcasts and music and stuff like that that is approved by us, but not something. What?
We don't think it's discipling her.
Right. I'm not necessarily sitting there listening to every word that's said. She's listening to things that I have approved, but not necessarily said. I'm not saying that we're not a unit unto ourselves of nobody else is allowed to talk to our children. But we also feel that it is our job to be the one instructing. And so I don't hand Naomi over to other people to instruct unless it's something that I can't do the instruction for. Like driver's ed. Really would have instructed her if they let me, but they wouldn't. So just the idea of God has given me, us as a couple, Mark and I as a couple, he's over there now, a unique ministry that nobody else can take the place of us being the parents. And so God hasn't taken something away from me by me being just a mom. He's given me a unique opportunity that nobody else can take. And what? You want to say something?
No.
And the things that I learn through the sanctification process, through having children, are things that are sometimes very hard to learn in other situations. So when you're up at night with the newborn who wants to eat all night long, God's teaching you through that. And he's sanctifying you through that. And he's taking away your selfish desires. Yeah. But if all you're doing is trying to make it through until you can make that baby sleep so that you can go on with life, it's really, like, yes, I do get tired in the newborn stage. I'm not saying I don't. But those moments that I'm the only one awake with the baby in the middle of the night are also very precious. And so while there are some nights that it was like, I wish we could just sleep a little more, I also know that those nights are only going to last so long that I'm going to be the one up with baby for those times. The times that you see your child growing in something, maybe it's just an academic skill, they're learning to read or whatever. Maybe it's watching them memorize Bible verses. Maybe it's, a new skill of kicking a ball or making a basket or those types of things. Seeing any of those things, watching your child grow, are unique experiences that God gives you. That if your children are always off and independent from you, you're not going to get to enjoy those experiences. Like, I can't imagine, like, if someone was like a military dad who's gone for long periods of time, and your child's crawling when you leave, and they're independently walking when you get home months later. That would be very difficult. Being able to be a stay-at-home mom and be there for all of those experiences, I don't want to hand those off to anybody else. I don't want to give them to the nursery worker at church, because I want them to be able to be in church with me, learning alongside me, so that I can see, like, my 4-year-old right now is learning how to read. And so he can find the word God and Jesus in the hymnal. And he thinks it's very funny. And he just lights up. Oh,
And he'll belt out the songs.
And he'll belt out the songs really loud during church. I don't know if he's singing or yelling, but he's definitely making his voice
Joyful
heard.
noise.
It is a noise. Definitely. He's joyful and it is a noise. But those are things that our culture our church culture has pushed away from us and make us think that we don't need to be, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of a righteous jealousy thing that I want to be the one seeing those things in my kids. That like that is something that God gave to me to experience, and I don't want to just hand it over to anybody else to experience those things. I want to be the one to do the work that through God brings the understanding. Does that make sense? Mark's over there quiet. I don't know if I'm making sense. He's sharing yogurt with the baby. But does that make sense? Like, I want to be the one who can say, look, little Johnny learned to read because we've been working on this skill. Not, look, little Johnny went off to school and now he can read and I really had nothing to do with it. I know in the end it's all God and for his glory, but he's giving us the opportunity to work with our children to accomplish those goals that will help them to eventually glorify God in life too. So I hope that all makes sense. Those are my ramblings of this evening. But I should probably go get the 2-year-old to bed because he looks tired, even though he wants all of Daddy's yogurt. So, Daddy, anything else you want to say to wrap up that video? He went away for a while to go check on people. No?
Nope.
Okay, do you have anything else you want to say that you feel I left out of this video?
I don't think so.
Okay. So we don't feel that people should have as many children as physically possible. I feel that there are many things that we do that cause us to have children closer together than what is the natural spacing that would be brought on by co-sleeping and nursing your baby on demand and spending time just enjoying your children and all of those things. But I also think that it is, in most cases, it is wrong to limit the number of children you have because you're doing it for things that are worldly ideas. Who's out there?
It's just
So
everything.
You can come sit. Doing things because they're worldly thoughts of, I don't know if God can provide for this baby. Like if we're financially going to be able to provide for this baby, or if we're going to have enough time and attention for the children that we already have at home. So, yeah. So there we go. And Naomi's ideas of what she's going to do with her future. So if you ask her, she wants to be a wife and mom. And that's okay, because that's what is normative in the Bible.
So get over it.
Most women that you read the accounts of in the Bible are married and have children. And that's how we know about most of the children. I mean, most
usually
of the
about the
women.
business of the home and God uses them.
Yeah. Almost all of them. Almost all of them. Even Esther had to go get married, so she could be about the business of the home to go save
the
her
kingdom,
people. The little kingdom that was there. So, thank you for joining us on Herding Little Cows. If you have comments, please leave them down below. We will try to answer them.
Please make them nice.
If you enjoyed our video, please like and follow or whatever else you do on whatever platform this is on. I don't know, Mark does all that stuff. But also, we understand that our ideas aren't necessarily for everybody, and
You can dislike it if you want.
you can dislike it if you want. So, thank you for joining us. We'll see you guys next time.